It's 1:30.
That's a tough one.
You're just thinking about it.
That's a tough one.
Recording?
Good?
Pick you up or?
Okay.
As soon as Krista gets where.
We are set.
I'll call it today.
Recording.
Okay. I'll get us.
All right,
And I'll let you know if they
so,
say
roll
it's-
call, Chair Harry Meyer,
Here.
Vice Chair Gary Delvaux.
Here.
Jim Bloomrick.
Here.
Alderman Joe Moore.
Present.
And then Melanie Parma, Matt Schuler, and Tom Weber asked to be excused.
All right, ask for approval of the agenda sent out. So move.
With the change, moving number
Well,
3
we'll
item.
do the first, the
above
agenda.
number- Oh, but it's on the agenda.
Then the minutes, and then we'll do that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That makes sense.
Did Jim move the second? Gary, those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? And approval of the minutes as sent out to all of us.
So moved.
Jim, Joe, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have a request to move item number 3 under new business up to number 1. We'll have to have a vote on that.
Move to amend the agenda to move item 3 to.
Okay, motion
Second.
from Joe, second by Gary, to move item 3 up to number 1 on the agenda. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Was carried. Number 3, consideration and possible action to approve a development agreement with Larson and Company in Cardiff for redevelopment of 2280 East Mason Street.
All right.
All right.
So what we have here is a development agreement. This reflects the terms that were presented to the Redevelopment Authority and approved by council earlier this fall. In essence, we have the developer, Larson Company, who's going to take the Cub Foods building on the east side of town, right next to the East Town Mall, renovate it. It's about 60,000 square feet of active retail space. There's some additional storage space and things like that. They're looking at 4, potentially 5, mid-scale tenants within that. What they're looking for is some funds to help them redevelop the site. Basically going to use the existing shell and then re-outfit that. The request is for a TIF incentive, which would be equivalent to 75% of the increment, pay-as-you-go, which would go through the end of the TID. With that, right now, the property is assessed at about $1.8 million. Upon completion, the assessed value of the property is $5.5 million. Even though it's a pay-go, the developer has still put in the agreement that they will guarantee an assessment of $8.7 million, and that they will pay taxes on of what would be an $8.7 million property. So that's reflected also in the development agreement, and that value would remain through 2030 to go to 2031. So that, in essence, they'd be guaranteeing a certain value on the taxes coming into the TID. With that, as we discussed with the East Town Mall, we'll need to go through a joint review board to amend TID 10, which will start that process. But we need to talk about it. Just probably saw Cherry Street ramp run through, so we're going to have a GRB meeting to talk about to District 5. So we'll convene the GRB and make those amendments to that. With that, again, these are the terms that were discussed earlier this fall. We do have a representative here on behalf of the client if you have specific questions. If there's anything in terms of negotiations, we do have the opportunity to go into closed session. With that, staff supports this and feels we can move forward.
Do we have an idea on the startup of this project?
They would like to close on the property by the end of this year and get moving with construction next year, so that this would be online by 1/1 of 2018.
And what's the scheduled closure of that TIF? Is it 2030?
2031.
31.
Correct. And they're
but
not
it may
asking
be
for...
extended.
It may be extended. They're not asking for an extension of the date. It would just be an expansion of the territory.
So the guarantee would not extend beyond the 2030?
Correct.
Even though the TIF may be extended?
Correct. And yes, correct.
I think we should open the meeting for public discussion on this. Need a roll call?
Just about, if you want to open up here.
Yeah.
Make a motion to open the floor.
Second?
A motion by Joe, second by Jed, to open the meeting for public discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We have the representative come. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you just want to make any comments about just kind of where you're at, maybe a little bit, they asked about the timing and where you're at with things.
Sure. Yeah, we're pretty much ready to go. The seller actually has an interest in closing by the end of the year, as does our client, the buyer. So they're hoping to get this wrapped up at the last couple of days of December, assuming everything goes through. I think we went over the developers agreement with Kevin, and I think the council had a chance. There are just some minor, mainly, kind of punctuations type things, nothing really of substance. So we're ready to go. Actually, he's ready to sign, and the goal would be right after the first of the year, get the ball rolling and have this project completed throughout 2017 in terms of the construction.
Do you have some thoughts on the types of tenants you'd like to bring in?
Yes, he actually has the tenants lined up and under
you do?
contract. Yes.
Oh, good.
So
I hope they approve, meet our approval.
yeah, well, when we talked, I think Kevin's aware of them too.
Yeah.
They're national retailers for the most part. Kind of the model seems to be going a little bit to smaller spaces than the giant spaces that were the trend in the past. So he's got 4 kind of national retail tenants already under contract.
Are these people who are not in the market at this time?
I'm trying to think if elsewhere in Green Bay, I guess I don't know for sure if in different locations, certainly not on the east side in that area.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not a lot of speculation here. I mean, this is ready to go with tenants lined up and under good terms and lease rates, so.
How much parking is available there, Kevin, do you know?
I don't know the number of spaces, but
Large.
a lot.
It's quite good.
Yeah,
Lots of lots.
yeah.
I was gonna ask, is there any potential for outlot development on that property? Or has that been discussed?
That has not been discussed, at least with me. I don't know if that's a possibility or if that's on the developer's radar screen or not.
I've talked a little bit with the developer
Directly.
about that and potential, and I think one of the things that we are also looking at, one of the questions that came up was, signage. That area isn't a planned unit development district, so to look at, as we've talked about this project, the East Town Mall project, signage, other requirements that are in that PUD, like parking, and to make it, again, if we can intensify that and create some additional tax base and work on those parking requirements, I think, it's all in our best interest to have as much developable land as
Right.
possible.
Like you did at Cal Foods on the west
Correct.
side.
Yep, and so, again, it would be in the hands of the developer, but we would like it from a city perspective to provide, make
more
that option
density.
available if possible.
So in a nutshell, you're basically just saving the shell and gonna totally revamp the inside.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the main structure will remain, but
Multiple entrances or just one?
I'm sorry?
Has to be multiple entrances?
Multiple.
Okay. I guess that the mayor and Kevin, if you're comfortable with the tenants, then we don't have to go in closed session to talk about them unless you think it's necessary.
We've talked about them with the client, and we've talked about them internally with our development team, and they are all, yes, reputable and would believe.
They're good tenants.
Okay.
Make motion to return to regular order?
We have a motion by Joe, second by Jim, return to regular business, those in favor say aye. Opposed, carried. All right, gentlemen.
Sounds like a great opportunity. I'll make a
Yep.
motion to approve.
Motion by Gary, second by
Jim?
Jim, those in favor to approve the development agreement with Larson and Company for the redevelopment of 2280 East Mason Street, the Cub Food area. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. All right, bye, Jim, see you again.
That's awesome.
Number 1, communications with possible action on communication for November 7th, the common council by Alderman Vanderleest to set TIF assistant guidelines for the city ordinance. Recommendation, refer to staff.
So moved.
Motion by Jim, second by,
Can I second for discussion?
yes.
Dr. Vonk, I think that what we need to do is we need to see with neighboring communities, our suburbs, what kind of limitations they may be imposing on theirs. Just ensuring that we don't put ourselves at a competitive disadvantage by putting a limit to what we will allow.
Oh, that's right.
So I think that's probably what the focus
Think so?
of your work when you're looking at this needs to be,
Yeah.
is where do we stay competitive? Where are our neighbors at?
Well, we typically do an annual review on TIF, existing TIF statuses. I think it might be good to do that in concert with maybe recommendations on any guidelines that one might come forth as well. It'll give us a frame of reference in my mind. How have we done compared to what are we recommending?
Well, in the communication that came from council isn't exactly spelled out because there was actually a recommendation of 15% as a maximum cap.
So there's, right,
So-
and we're dealing with 2 parallel communications. Alderman Vanderleest made this at your November 7th budget meeting.
Oh, right.
It wasn't brought to RDA because we didn't have an RDA meeting, or just in terms of the timing, we had it after, and so wasn't aware of that, so that's why I made another communication at the last
Okay.
meeting. That went to advisory. I think he spelled out a little bit more in that, so that's.
Right.
But where, Alderman is saying is that Alderman Vanderleest wanted to see, looking at limits of, starting at 10%, going to 15%, I think was some of the language that he used.
Right.
Kevin, does the state law say anything about limits?
The state law, basically has guidelines in terms of, there has to be certain expenses are eligible for TID. It has to be spelled out in your plan. For each TID district, you have to say, all right, these are eligible expenses, what we can spend on it in this TID. And basically, when you do an agreement with a developer, it has to follow those things, or for public purposes, it has to follow in the guidelines of the plan. I think one of the things that, again, we would just like, staff to be able to look at this. I think Alderman Moore brings up a good point in terms of what other communities do and where we
Right,
put ourselves.
right.
And, again, I think we'll come back with something, and talking with our attorney and our development team, we always want to make sure that we are never putting us in a negative position for negotiating. And I think that's ultimately how our
That's
recommendation
the big
is gonna come
bottom
back.
line, really.
So, yeah, we'll take a look and bring something back.
Can you come back to us on that then?
Correct.
Is January too quick?
Maybe.
Okay, okay, that's fine, do it right.
But I'm sure by February, yeah, we
Okay.
could do, and actually with the year-end closing, it
Yeah.
might give us some good,
Yeah,
as
sure.
some of the communities pull together a year-end financials, give us a little opportunity if we can do it by February.
Because you know now what the revenue into each TIF is
Correct.
gonna be, so.
Yep, because now we're, setting those up, so we'll have some better.
And to do this in conjunction, like Jim said, with our existing tips, give us an update
Yep.
on the, great.
Okay, Joe?
Absolutely.
Jim, motion, second by Joe?
Yep.
Motion by Jim, second by Joe then to approve the
First now.
request from Alderman Vanderleest to set TIF assistance guidelines for the city of Green Bay. We're referring this to staff. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 2, consideration and possible action on the subordination agreement for Quality Inn and Suites at 321 South Washington Street. Kevin?
So now Cheryl.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Carol, welcome aboard.
Carol, sure.
Carol, whomever.
I know.
Kevin,
I'm cool.
right now.
All right, so this is a request by Paul Mann. We've been here to the RDA before, 2004, where we granted him a loan for $500,000 for 5 and some improvements. He's been current on those payments and making those payments all along. Again, we did a subordination in 2014, so at that time, they did some conversion of units to the extended stay units, which has been very successful for them. At this time, Paul Van would like to request a subordination from the RDA. He would like to, actually, back in 14, we put a line of credit ahead of us for $150,000. He'd like to renew that line of credit for $150,000 and then add an additional $250,000 to do further repairs, which would include repair to the skylight and some upgrades to the rooms. By looking at what you've got there in front of you, we had probably an appraisal done in October, came in at 3.3 million. So the balance owed, in addition to the new request, leaves us a lot of equity on this. The bank has told me that they will not be, that these are the numbers that will stay. It's a refi existing debt. They're not going to go back to the original mortgage amounts. I had our finance director, our interim finance director, review 3 years of past taxes, profit and loss statements. They're all good, so he's in good standing. And Paul Van is here today if you want to hear from him, if you have questions about this. Otherwise, we recommend subordination.
I would go ahead and move to support staff recommendation.
I'll second.
What's the deadline on this then, Cheryl?
The deadline of when you're going to close?
Yeah.
7.
And for the line of credit is
No,
there?
it's a 7-year.
7
line of
years,
credit, yep.
okay. So that starts, new 7 years is starting now?
Well, when they close on it.
Yeah, right,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Right. Joe, any other questions?
Joe, no reason to open up.
Unless anyone's got some specific
Right.
question about
Okay.
it.
Right, motion by Joe, second by Jim. Right, we have a motion and a second then to proceed with the subordination agreement for Quality Inn and Suites at 229 South Washington Street. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Paul, you're all set.
Yeah, I'm here, and I just want to say real quick, thank you for your support over the years. It's much
Give us each
appreciated.
a room.
Pardon me?
We'll take a room.
Yeah, okay, and I've got some right now, too. I just want to say that, this hotel has been in downtown Green Bay since
It was
1958.
number 1, wasn't it?
Number 1 at one time,
Yeah.
yep. We're a Quality Inn and Suites, we're within the top 10 98% of all Quality Inn and Suites in the United States. There's 1,300 of us, part of the Choice Hotel brand. And I do want to say that all the work that's been downtown has been incredibly helpful to
Great.
keep my hotel running and doing well. So last 3 years have been the best 3 years in the history of
Really?
that property since I've owned it, which has been 23 years. And clearly, what you folks have done downtown has been incredible. So thank you for all that great work.
Excellent, thank you.
What percent has been converted from their typical motel to what you're planning?
So in 2004, we converted from Best Westerns to Quality Inn and Suites. And in 2004, I had 140 hotel rooms, way overbuilt for what was needed downtown. At that time, we we converted to 99 units, 10 suites and 89 hotel rooms as a Quality Inn and Suites. And then I had, obviously, a whole bunch of rooms sitting vacant. And then over the years, including up through 14, we added extended stay suites. We now have 25 extended stays. And they run close to 90% occupancy. There's a huge demand for that. And we run ours much different than a typical extended stay because we offer the pool and the workout room and breakfast in the morning, and it's a pretty good deal for our clients. But it's worked really well for us. The hotel's doing great. We continue to invest a lot of money into it. We've put $900,000 inside that building since 2010.
Wow.
And that's all been from capital that we've created through the operation. And now what we're doing is, the pool area was built in 1970, and so that skylight has a few years on it. And it's structurally great, but all the panels are shot, and so we're in the process of getting ready to replace that, and that's what much of this is about. So,
Typically, how long do people stay?
you know, it's amazing, our 25 units, typically half of them are folks that are with us a year or longer.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
So, think of this. Is it Meteorol, the apartment building? We had the original engineers that did the engineering on that were with us over a year ago. And then we had, the plumbing people and the electrical people and the roof people, all those people come and go over the year.
Excellent.
And we'll probably have the new one now for the parking ramp. We do a lot of that type of work. But something that you guys can relate to is all the environmental cleanup on the Fox River.
Yes.
That crew has been with us for 6 years.
So you like us?
We do. Yep. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, Paul.
All right, see, I think we're on number 4.
Yes.
Consideration with possible action on the request to extend lease agreement with JF Brennan Company for 239 Orange Street, the Shipyard. I'm not even gonna say who's in charge of that.
All right,
Kevin?
yes. So, talking about the Shipyard site, boat slip site, greenfield site, among other names. This is the parcel on the north half of the slip on Orange Street. Probably noticed JF Brennan and Paul Van Invention working on part of the Fox River cleanup. As you know, that cleanup's been extended for another year. With that, JF Brennan has requested that they continue to use that area as a staging site. Basically, they store gravel and pipes there to move the sediment. It's not a cleanup site. That cleanup all happens down at the facility on State Street. It's just for staging. They would like to continue to be able to use that site. We reviewed and staff is comfortable continuing to have that lease there with them. As you know, we're working on moving forward with an outdoor event center and potential development project on the north side of that. The lease has a 30-day out clause for
it
us,
does?
so that is
Okay.
more than ample time for us when something comes forward to get that moved forward. So with that, staff recommends renewing the lease.
Okay, that's for motion.
So,
Make a motion.
Motion by Gary, second by
Gary's motion.
Joe to,
what's it,
pardon?
yeah, I'm just gonna ask for a little more details,
Sure.
the lease amount and that sort of thing.
$2,500 a month.
Okay. I think I figured that. I think I saw that. Thank you.
The motion is to extend the lease agreement with JF Brennan Company for 239 Orange Street. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 5, discussion regarding the sale of 420 and 520 North Broadway.
All right, Larson Green property. As you know, we've been working on the redevelopment of that site, both 420 and 520. Staff would like to provide an update of where we're at. I think we're getting very close to the purchase and sale of the property, along with some additional development potential that may be happening there. And really would like to kind of provide an update of where we're at. Also talk about negotiations in terms of selling and then potential assistance for that. You guys probably know well than anyone else that, I mean, it's a big site, it's a complicated site, it's a dirty site, there's a lot of things going with it. And I just wanted to have some discussion and to prepare us in terms of, negotiating our position for moving forward with something that I hope to bring back here in January.
Okay.
So with that, I think we'd like to discuss that transaction in terms of where our position would be in closed session.
Jim, would you read the
Sure will.
little addendum?
The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85 sub 1 sub E Wisconsin statutes for the purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 1985 sub 2 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Clerk, call the roll.
Harry Meyer?
Yes.
Gary Delvaux?
Yes.
Jim Blumrick?
Yes.
Joan Moore?
All right, we'll be going to closed session and discuss the closing for the Larson Green property.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second then to return regular to business. Kevin, call the roll again on that, Kevin.
All right.
Oh,
You want to take that out? That's all right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Harry Meyer?
Yes.
Gary Delvaux?
Yes.
Jim Blumrick?
Yes.
Okay. And Joan Moore?
Let's do it.
These meetings are recorded and put on YouTube, right?
What?
These meetings are recorded and put on YouTube.
Yes.
Use the camera, can you know?
It's almost the whole world.
No, we're good.
Now, when you watch it,
It's like yours, but it's so far away.
it is kind of,
It just looks like it's pointing that way today.
Right. Well, it's supposed to be everything.
Thank you.
Somebody's messing with it.
Oh, yes.
Camera adds 10 pounds, but I watch it. Cuts off at Gary.
And then just with the documents I handed out, if you just want to take those with you, if you don't want them, just give them back.
It's a good picture, you can have mine.
Here you go, hey. We just adjourned.
No.
No.
All right, back it open session.
You have to, we didn't need to vote.
Nope, I think just,
I'll make a motion that we refer this to staff to continue negotiations as discussed in closed session.
We have a motion by Joe, a second by Gary, then to refer to staff some of the basic elements of the discussion that we had on this development, and those in favor say aye.
Aye.
For the general public, I'd like to just mention that we had rather extensive development over the proposed development of the 50-acre site along North Broadway and the Fox River, and we've asked Kevin and Vank, our director, to continue negotiations with DDL and report back to us at our next meeting as to a little firmer thoughts on what the project would be. So, we are now on number 6.
Yes.
Consideration with possible action to conduct an asbestos containing material lead-based paint and hazardous waste survey at 520 North Broadway.
all right, this is prepared by Ken fell ill, so he's not here to do the report. In short, this follows up a little bit, dovetails with our prior conversation. With Larson Green, as you know, we've been doing the environmental work on that. We did a phase 1, now we're in the process of doing a phase 2. During the phase 1, we discovered, the building has potentially lead and asbestos in it. We would like to move forward with doing the full survey work on that, just so we get a better sense of, again, what's in there, what needs to be done, and what the estimated cost for cleanup may be. With that, because it's over $10,000, we're estimating about $12,000 to $15,000 for that work, so we just like authorization to go forward with that. We would look at this either through TID funds or the lease that we have with Carrier Star, and using those funds to pay for this.
We requested quotes, we got one back from Cardinal.
Yep.
And we've worked with Cardinal a lot in the past, so they're a good company.
All right, any questions?
Who pays for the abatement if necessary?
Pardon?
I was asking who pays for the abatement if it's necessary.
My guess, if it's not anything that is time sensitive, that we would wait, and it would be the responsibility of the developer. You know, if there's something that needs to be cleaned up right away, because, I mean, it's an error, we could be liable for it, then we'd take something back and we'd do it, but otherwise we would just, it's more of an FYI of like, look, this is an appropriate cost that's gonna come along with redeveloping this building.
I make a motion to approve, I guess it's asbestos containing material, windows, paint, and hazardous material survey, not to exceed $14,700 at 520 North Broadway.
Second.
Okay, we've heard the motion by Gary, the second by Jim. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 7, consideration possible action on authorizing funds to repair 227 East Walnut Street, 101 North Adams Street, and 109 North Adams Street parcels, blah, blah, blah. George Schumacher Building. Kevin?
All right, so this is also, Ken, a lot of pretty, I don't know if you want to call them pretty because they're color, but there's a lot of work to be done on shower. I mean, if you didn't already know that, I mean, this kind of documents that. So a few parallel things going on here. You know, one, again, we've been working with a number of developers trying to move the Shower and Schumacher building. Haven't had success yet. Last month, we signed a planning option with Milwaukee View to look at potential project there. With that, parallel to this, we did look at potentially using some of our block grant funds, which are currently housed in the revolving, or allocated towards the revolving loan. We have the ability to use some of those for historic preservation. We had an RDA meeting to allocate up to $300,000 of those for historic rehab. We haven't spent any of those funds. What we have is basically the full report of what needs to be done at Shower and Schumacher. Our intent is to discuss these, one, provided here for your information. I think there's a few potentially emergency or critical repairs that need to be done, like patching some holes in the roof to prevent water from coming in.
Got a lot of snow up there right now.
Yeah. Beyond that, I think it's worth having a discussion with the potential developer, the one who was the planning option on it, to go through and discuss a little bit about, okay, if they were to move forward with the project, what are the things that they would need to have done or would want to see done? Again, you know, if they're looking at adding an additional story on there, it doesn't pay for us to fix the roof.
Right.
That's just an example of things. So with that, you know, we did not have a recommendation. I think maybe one of the things we would ask for is, you know, would you authorize us maybe up to what?
Well, we had a roofing guy go up there and take a look at it. They actually gave us an estimate, Splendauer gave us an estimate on what it would cost to just repair that, and that came in at $19,610
Oh.
for the repairs. If we wanted to replace the whole roof, it would be $84,000. So I think we're just looking to stop the
Immediate.
leaking on the roof.
Right.
Now, standard operating procedures through purchasing would generally be to get multiple bids on these types of things, but as the RDA, you have the ability to approve this if you feel that it's, you know, we need to get that done right away.
Now, with the situation up there right now and what's expected this weekend, could they still do it?
I believe they said they could do it still in the winter, right? Kind of there, so.
Well, for that price, I think we should move ahead. We
Is
almost
that
have
the
to
only
move
critical
ahead.
item that we're talking about? I mean, everything is one thing. but-
There were a couple more things that they, when they went through the survey and they looked at, one was a broken window on the second floor.
Yeah.
And I believe that's been, we've asked Public Works to board that up, just in case anything were to fall. And then there's a lintel above a door frame
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
it looked like it might be loose. So I think we've asked that Public Works to actually secure that as well.
Could we give you authorization for like up to 25 out of that block grant money I taken? To do
You could.
considered immediate repairs?
That'd be a good idea, Jim.
I think we should. Give you a little
Something else
bit.
might come along.
Aren't we just shoring this up though to make it saleable and not cause any further damage? I mean, what, $25,000 into it?
What? I'm sorry, what? So what was your question?
I mean, aren't we just trying to shore the building up and
Right.
make it
Right.
safe?
Yes.
And that's what Blind Hour's quote of 19 was for?
19,610 was just to repair.
Then I think we
patch the-
definitely need to
patch
do an
and repairing the
RFP
road.
because I think that's a ridiculous price to just patch it up.
I'm okay. with
That's an
it.
unreal price to just patch a roof and fix a couple vents.
I just want us to move
$19,000.
along, is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
The further we delay, the worse it
Oh,
gets,
yeah,
and the
right.
tougher it is
Yeah.
to do an agreement.
More
with
expensive it
somebody.
gets.
Was there a quote just to patch?
Not in
or is
winter,
it
not
to-
more expensive it gets. People are more competitive in the winter because there's not as much work. That's why I think an RFP would be wiser.
There's an upper roof, and there's a lower roof. There's some holes in the roof that need some flashing work. A mason actually is going to be hired to do those repairs. That's not included in this bid. So the upper roof is to patch any holes that they find. There are at least 3 to the west of the elevator. Flash the corners of the elevator shaft, install a target patch over the drain, and reflash the vent pipe. And then the lower roof, repair the entire north wall. We need to refasten the existing roofing and add rubber. Repair the 2 walls on the east. We would need to refasten the existing roofing and add rubber, reflash all the vents, install new covers on the pipes that are missing the covers, walk the roof and repair any holes that they find, and then work with the plumber to replace the drains.
They'll do that for 19,000?
So that's the bid for 19,600.
It's a steal.
You've had this done before?
You're thinking it's high.
So
Well, it sounded pretty good, Joe.
Right?
Yeah.
I get that it's a lot. I mean, I'll make a motion here and maybe it won't get a second, maybe it won't get a majority, but my motion is to send this out for an RFP.
To what level, Joe? And to what, for what items?
For the items that
multiple.
were just read off on the repairs
That wouldn't take that much to delay with.
month.
I think we could get for just quotes on this. So, yeah, we should be able to bring it back next month.
As opposed to a formal RFP? Get quotes.
Well, I mean, or also if
Good
you have a
quotes.
cap that you're comfortable spending on, I mean, we could do an RFP, put it out there for a week, and then once we get it, just do
Award
it.
But
Bottom
so
line needs
you
to
would
get
know what
done.
not to
Yeah.
exceed though, right?
Mhm.
You'd almost want to get the quotes then if you
Yeah.
think that's really
Those are
high.
the quotes.
I mean, I'm okay with your judgment on fixing those things that are critical to
Yeah.
preserve the property
Mhm.
from further damage, I guess is what's in my mind.
Well, I think, was Ken walk up, or did you go up, Kevin, as well?
I was
or-
up there, yeah. I went up with the contractor and looked it over. The trouble is, it's an old roof, it's beat up, there's lots of holes here and there.
Which ones do you fix?
So, you know, the guy walked the roof, he walked both roofs. There's a number of issues that are causing potential leaks to the building. And, you know, I kind of get his estimate based on the number of issues that are up there. You know,
They could find more.
absolutely they could, you know, so that's a difficult thing. It is, you know, it is a high bid, so I think you should get, you know, absolutely should get another quote, but you could fix a couple of things that are critical. I think you could have them do that, and just do that for less than 10 grand, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe time and material or something like that.
However he would want to do
We need to
that.
get this done.
He may not even want to do that. He may say, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that because I can't guarantee you anything, you know, so.
So what dollar level are you comfortable with? I mean, if it's gonna be 19, you gotta have a little more flexibility on a couple other items, but I'm not expecting you will spend it just because we authorize it.
Well, you're already authorized up to 10 without any
Right.
approvals.
Right.
I mean, you could get that amount of repairs done in an RFP, the remainder of the work, without even having to come to us.
I think that'd be a reasonable course to see if he would do that, up to $10,000, fix all the critical things and see what he can do.
They come back to us again.
And then if it needs to go out, then it needs to go out.
I mean, it may give us a little time too, just in terms of talking with the developer, and again, whether,
Right.
we'd like to move forward with this
Right.
developer, but if not, I mean, these are things, again,
Yes,
that they
they-
will tell us that probably another
Yep.
one's going to
Well, and
help us make the right
see,
decision.
that's my other thought, is there's more money that we're going to have to put in this building in other areas.
Right.
And so what we can save up front here and use
Right.
later to get the development going, I think is worthwhile.
One of the
for us.
problems we have with the building is the roof, the lower roof drains to the corner, and there's a drain pipe that runs through the center of the building. The building's not heated, so every year that breaks,
Freeze and break.
and it fills up the bottom with water, you know, so, you know, we have moisture issues then inside the building. It's, you know, it's not good for the building, it's an old building, so we gotta figure out some way to, I don't know, rescue the roof.
Right.
Until we can get a developer working in there, you know, and try to keep the water out, which is really difficult, so, you know,
Right.
so.
Well, George, should we
So
accept it?
it should amend the motion then to allow staff to use up to $10,000, which they already have the authority to do.
Right.
To make the critical repairs, and then to determine those additional needs and send out an RFP for those repairs.
Well, if they already have the authorization, we don't have to have a motion, not at this time.
Just the RFP for the additional repairs would be the motion.
Right.
All right, I'll second.
So, how does that motion?
We're just doing the RFP on the additional repairs needed, that's
Yeah,
beyond
the
critical.
10,000.
Okay. All right, so we've heard the motion then, that was outlined by Joe, second by Jim. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Got it.
Number 8, consideration possible action on a request by Newtown Development LLC for a 3-month planning option for project 321, 325 North Broadway.
All right, barracks project. We're back, but in a little bit, in a different sort of way. This project, the developer has basically, put together a proposal for high-end, kind of luxury units, and realized in terms of the gap that was there, and I think we had some discussions about, potential value
Yep.
and future value and
Yeah.
sales and markets and all those types of things. I think they've had some additional discussions internally. I think they've discussed a little bit with on Broadway in terms of the product and what they're doing. They would like to come back to us with a new product. And that is, I think, something that's, a little bit more affordable, a little bit smaller, a little bit more in scale with.
Different market entirely.
Yep. Not to say that high-end condo market still is there. I think we also talked about maybe that's not the right site for that particular thing. So with that, it's 2 RDA properties that they have. They would like just a planning option so they can secure it. We've had it on our website, but would feel okay, locking this up for 3 months. I think that, again, 3 months, it's not too long. That kind of puts us to decide, again, getting to a term sheet. And I think that's enough time to we feel comfortable we can get back to that and bring that to the spring. So it'd be a 3-month option, $300, that they would like to have with the RDA.
Okay.
Is the intent going to be owner occupied again?
Still owner occupied, yes.
Well, this is just a commitment to the option, to the planning option. It's
Commitment
not a
to planning
commitment to
option.
the product, so.
No.
I 3 months is a good term. I would go ahead and make that motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Joe, second by Gary then to accept the proposal from Newtown Development LLC for a 3-month planning option on the site at 321, 325 North Broadway. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, carried. Number 9, consideration of possible action on awarding the 2016 Fair Housing Service RFP in the amount of $15,000.
I'll move to approve staff recommendation.
Did you say it, Jim?
Sorry.
No,
We had to approve staff
Yeah.
recommendation.
okay.
Milwaukee Fair Housing's had this for,
Yeah.
Yep, this-
Usually at
that's the
$10,000,
Right.
so they went up by 50% this year.
We put it in our annual action plan, 15,000 for fair housing services rather than 10,000. It wasn't their proposal, it was our dollar amount to
Oh.
increase it 5,000.
Good. Do a motion?
I'll second it.
Motion by Joe, second by Gary, then
Jim and Gary.
Yeah.
That's right.
do you award the 2016 Fair Housing Service RFP in the amount of $15,000. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 10, consideration possible action on a request to payment assistance home loan in the amount of $5,000 in exchange for a repayment plan. That's gotta be Kevin. So complicated that. You don't have to sit down, Kevin, just talk to us.
Straightforward. The homeowner had a house on the market for a while, 6 months this year, got an offer, their real estate person advised them to take the offer. The offer was below what they needed to satisfy their mortgages. They accepted the offer, so then they requested forgiveness of their down payment assistance loan. I said, that's not gonna happen. So how about a repayment plan? They agreed to that, so they have agreed to in exchange for the housing, or the Redevelopment Authority authorizing a satisfaction of the down payment assistance mortgage, they would enter into a repayment clause with us and pay off the loan in 2017.
Where is this place located?
It's off of Bond Street, over by Perkins Park in that area.
So 7 months, assuming they stay on schedule.
7 months. She said she probably used her tax returns to pay off faster, so 7 months max. And
You're comfortable, you can do it?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I am. So we'll have her sign a personal guarantee and a repayment plan, so.
I make a motion
Pretty
to,
straight.
I make a motion to.
Motion by Gary, second by Joe. Consideration possible action on request to satisfy down payment assistance home loan program, amount of $5,000 exchange for a repayment plan. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, carried.
Making sure it wasn't.
Number 11, consideration possible action on approve the sale of 1018 Burner Street.
All right, these are two,
It's, yeah, I'm finished.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
1724 East Bend Avenue to adjust properties. Go
These are
ahead,
two-
sure,
these
you're
are-
up.
These are two parcels that we purchased with the group from the county, they're in the floodplain, and we had the direction to try to sell those to adjacent property owners. So we were successful in two of these parcels. One parcel is going directly to one property owner, and that was for $500, and then the other parcel is gonna be split in half, 250, 250, two owners, one on each side.
That's good.
Yes, back on the tax roll, we don't have to maintain them anymore.
Happy neighbors.
Happy neighbors.
Yep. All right, motion?
Approve.
Motion by Jim, second by
Gary.
Gary. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Number 12, consideration of possible action is to approve the use of neighborhood enhancement funds for a temporary resolution for a federal tax lien against 1070 Roscoe Street. But that's Cheryl.
And actually,
She takes care of our
Well,
liens.
This is a partnership here. Okay, so we purchased these properties from the county. This was the one we purchased 21 of them, the big group of them, right? We made the acquisition, we closed it with the county. We then sold 1070 Roscoe to a developer who's built a home on it, and they are ready to close on the property. It's a brand-new house on Roscoe. When they did the title, they discovered that there is a federal tax lien that's still on the property.
Really?
The county should have...
They should have done that
They
themselves.
should have disposed of that before getting it to us, but they did not.
Yeah.
So, so we have a situation where we gave a warranty deed, we have to warranty the property, and we have a pending closing, ready to go. So Bill came on board and...
Give it to him, huh?
No, you did a good job, you got it.
On-the-job training.
On-the-job training, because it's how do you get a hold of the IRS, but...
I've been learning a lot, and the IRS is very frustrating to deal with.
Oh my gosh.
What I'm working on is getting a certificate of discharge. That process is very tricky because of how far along we are in the process. Because it's changed the county's hands, then our hands, and then now private developers. So it's kind of made it muddy the waters. Where I'm at right now is I have documents into the United States Attorney's Office. I'm working with one of their the Assistant United States Attorney. I've sent them all of the county's foreclosure documents that they should have done on the front end, and in hopes of expediting this process in order to get the loans discharged. I haven't heard back from them. I explained the situation to them, and they're working on it. Hopefully, that's going to be the quickest way. If we have to go through the IRS way, that might be a little bit longer. So what we're trying to do is, in order to make right by the buyer, the private developer that we have the warranty deed with, is we're working with a title company, and the title company is requesting that the city of Green Bay gets them a letter of intent in regards to the lien that's out there, and also hold in escrow 200% of what the government payoff would be. That's the tricky part, is because the lien is being held by Mr. Javier Inca, a private taxpayer. So when I try to contact the IRS, they will not give me what the payoff would be.
So we don't know the amount.
Well, I know the amount, but I know the amount of the total lien, which is, there's two liens. One is $873.08, and then the other one is $49,449.82. Total of those is $50,322.90. So what the titles company is asking is they hold an escrow 200% of that, which would be $100,645.80. The government paying off of that to settle that, I'm assuming would be much less. The problem is, we don't want to settle that. I don't want to get in the business of paying off Mr. Javier Inco's delinquencies, and that's not a good situation. Don't want to be in that situation at all. Problem is, I can't get what the payoff would be because that lien follows the taxpayer, which is Javier Inca. So we are not him and we are not his legal representation, so they wouldn't give me that payoff. So in order to make this go, to do right by all this, because of how far along we are, that's what the title company is requesting, that they hold that in escrow.
The first
until we
title
clear
wouldn't,
that.
the first title company wouldn't work with the
Touch it.
buyer. So we actually went and had a discussion with the county treasurer
Yes, the
about
county
the
treasurer.
situation, and he recommended a title company that they've done a lot of work with. So this title company has agreed to actually issue title. If we hold this escrow, which will allow the closing to take place, which then, we'll have the money out there, but then we won't have to worry about the buyer or the developer coming after us for damages at this point, so.
Just curious, how did the county miss the lien?
They, I don't know.
They haven't given us a reason for that. When I talked to the title company, who is now going to be the Brown County Register of Deeds, she is very familiar with some of the process and agreed that this should not have been missed. There is a process that they need to be put in place to do that. It did not get done. We assumed that it get done. That's our error. That we made the assumption.
Which should be more their problem than our problem, shouldn't it?
Well, it should be, but they do a quitclaim deed, so we purchased all of these properties.
It's a quick plan.
They did a quitclaim deed, so again, what we did with the private developers, we did a warranty deed, because we warranty deeded it.
It's our responsibility.
It's our responsibility now.
So how much
Ethically,
money
we-
would we be liable for? No idea.
Hard to say. I
Well, the
mean,
49,449 plus the, was it
870.
50,322.90. We also, but there's a couple different routes that we can take. Hopefully, the United States Attorney's Office, they're familiar. She was very hopeful, the lady that I'm speaking with, the Assistant United States Attorney. She could not commit to anything on the phone. I explained to her, she goes, "Oh, I know exactly. I think that there's an easy way to get this done. I can't tell you can't commit to anything on the phone, so I don't want to get your hopes up, but I'm going to work on it." I haven't heard back from her.
Okay.
That's
So
the
this is
best-
not a done deal then?
That's the best way to do it, because hopefully this is what the county should have done, and that's what
Right.
I'm trying to do. So they have to explain that process. If we don't, if that doesn't work, because we own two of the other properties, there is a publication 783 and an attached form, which is form 14135 from the IRS that we can submit to request a certificate of discharge. Because we own the two other properties that are RDA controlled, those two properties have an evaluation that's twice the value of what the federal tax lien was. So worst case scenario, we would get that hopefully removed from Roscoe and transferred on to the other two remaining properties, but the problem is that's gonna take way too long.
Kicking the can.
That's gonna take way too long in order to do that, which is gonna put the buyer is gonna lose her interest rate.
Right.
The developer is gonna recur damage, so this is why this is the best way of all the parties involved in order to get it taken care of.
Can we expect to hear from you again?
As far as going forward? Yeah, I don't know.
So what's the worst case?
Worst case is we pay it, we have to pay it.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario would be if for some reason the IRS or, they would say, no, you have to pay it. That's our worst case scenario. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's gonna take us a while to get that released, because the county actually did all the steps for release. They did the certified mailings to the IRS, they did all those steps, they just didn't do the final step. So I think we're gonna get that, but it might take 3 or 4 months to do that.
And if we don't, I mean, we're holding up.
Right.
Yeah, right.
We're holding up the sale, so.
The question is, it's because it legally, the county's process for taking over the foreclosure of the property does not make that lien legally enforceable. That's my question, is it's no longer legally enforceable because the lien is against the taxpayer. The taxpayer no longer has any legal interest in those properties. The lien stays with the taxpayer, so that amount is gonna follow him, is gonna go with him. But the issue is trying to get the paperwork in order to show them that and remove that, forget that.
This gives us time to release all of them, but then it also allows us to not incur damages as a result of the development and the sale.
And this is all on what was a spare parcel of property.
Yeah, vacant lot, yep.
This is not a very good recourse, but see, we end up paying you $50,000, can we go back to the county and tell them you owe us $50,000 for the error?
No, wait.
No,
They did it quick.
it's a quick thing.
Quick thing,
We've
okay.
talked with the law department here, I mean, we've worked with them through
It's
this.
the federal government though, it should be like,
Which is the part that I'm getting very frustrated with.
Yeah.
It is the federal government. Because of the property, essentially it became a really good deal that we got for all the 21 parcels.
Right,
If you had to
right,
pay it,
right.
it becomes an average deal, what we've normally have done.
Okay.
I would say just.
Worst case scenario, but from a taxpayer's perspective, don't want to do that. That's not a good situation. That's why we want to try to buy as much time to get it taken care of.
Reluctantly, I would
Right.
move to approve.
second,
Well, we don't have much option,
No.
really.
No, we don't. No, we don't. That's Jim and Joe.
Okay, then we have a motion then by Jim, second by Gary, then to approve the use of neighborhood enhancement funds for a temporary resolutions for a federal tax lien against 1070 Roscoe Street. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. As for motion to support the action on acceptance of financial report and check register as provided.
Are you on the hook, Harry?
Yeah, I am, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Move to proceed.
Second.
We have a motion by Joe and second by Jim. Those in favor say aye. Opposed, carried. Kevin, I don't think you have much more to say.
So Cherry Ram,
Yeah.
we did say is moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah,
Went through council, and
good
then
deal.
today's project will go to council next week.
What about,
Other than we've
what's the
been-
status of East Town and their closing? Have you heard of anything at all?
So we've been continuing to work with them, basically pieces that we've talked about, getting the library piece involved. They've been working with them. I think the library is working on their facility study where they're looking at their different sites.
But
and
that's not
together
due
the
for a couple of
numbers.
months.
What's that?
Their study is not due for a couple of months.
Correct, but at least they get some initial indications of what path they want to go
Right.
down. Right now, they've been working with, continuing to get the lease up in place. But we're due for a call and just keeping that moving forward. Part of it, like I said, we'll be working with the JRB to get the 1010 extended and whether it includes the East Town properties moving forward. I have a feeling we'll, probably move with that early next year.
They still plan on closing on the property itself by year end?
That is their intent.
Yeah.
And I think, part of that depends on where they're at with the leasing, where they're at with the library, and how that comes back with our development agreement.
And the park grant, what's their next step now? There's still more engineering has to be done?
So we need to sit down and just flesh out the maintenance agreement, which was part of it, and I think, part of the motion was that, look, it's no impact to the tax roll.
Right,
This has
right.
got to be covered
Yep.
in terms of,
Yep.
through the development. And then start talking, it's a lot of technical and logistic stuff, making sure, the design fits with what can be done there and programming, when things are gonna happen and street closures and ramp closures and elevator, all those types of things, and then just getting those pieces in order.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the development agreement, we basically have till next spring to get those pieces in place.
Kevin, everything moving along okay in the Northland Hotel? Have you heard anything at all?
Yeah, so conference call, we're about 70% complete. Building's sealed up, so it'll be good for the winter. They're basically working from the top down, all their internal mechanical stuff, all past inspection, so they're working on
Good.
basically doing the drywalling and fixtures and all those types of things. And then they said also, the ballroom's about half done.
Now, they're shooting for completion in February. Are they still on that target, do you think?
Probably spring.
Well, the opening in, no, construction in February, opening in April, that was last time. I
Correct,
heard.
yes, that is their target,
Yeah,
yes.
And I understand a lot of folks are moving into metro apartments.
Yes, yeah, I'm.
a lot?
Yeah,
That's what I heard.
It's a
Yeah.
phased move-in, as I understand.
Yeah, I haven't checked to see where their numbers are at,
Yeah, I'm
but
just
just,
curious.
so the anecdotal, there's a lot more lights on every time I look at it, kind of thing. But yeah, they're, again, trying to just.
Aren't they
give
gonna
the
have an
space.
open house or something?
there's a lot of lights on it.
They're having their official opening, I think, in January.
Or not?
But yeah, they're working on phasing, and again, just, there's still a little more build-up to do in some of the common areas on the first floor, but, yeah, most all the units are set for occupancy. So yeah, so that's been definitely going well.
Good.
Good, I hope so.
Right? Adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Hey, Diana.
There you go.
Randy?
Where was the dog today? Cheryl, where was the dog?
I didn't give you my.
Happy birthday. I didn't know we were talking, that was the case.
Oh, yeah, no.
No.